Alright, this is a new we're gonna do this one quickly. Welcome to NFL Road NFL Starts and Ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And to begin, we have both the Dolphins and the Packers lost this week on Monday Night Football. The Titans go into Miami and handle their business. They played really solid, the Titans did. But when you're down, especially to the Dolphins in the final 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes, a little under 5 minutes actually, and your Dolphins are like, "Okay, we've turned the ball over twice on back-to-back possessions, fumbled the ball, they score. We gotta get this ball to DeAndre Hopkins. We gotta let Derrick Henry run a little bit." And what did they do? They got it first touchdown. They go for 2, they get it. They get the ball back after Tua and the Dolphins can't do anything with it. And they go right down the field. Pass to Hopkins, big gain, all before the 2-minute warning. They rumble it in, all before the 2-minute warning. Or just after the 2-minute warning. But you're like, where is the guy covering Hopkins? Why did they not do this? Why did they not do that? And Will Levis stood in the pocket, played very well on those 2 drives, I should say, and it worked. For the Dolphins, I keep finding myself saying if a team can just out bully them and negate the speed a little bit. I understand Tyreek Hill got hurt, came back into the game, but if you can just out bully them, I feel or downplay their speed enough, they're not good enough. And that's the problem. And it was the problem last year too. Like if you could bully the Dolphins in any way, you beat them. That was what happened. That's truth. And I think that's the same issue this year, and the Dolphins have struggled, especially last year, in December. I don't think they won a game in December last year. They were 8-3, and then they ended up being 8-6 and needed a prayer to get in. So that can't happen over and over and over again. The same goes for the Packers. The Packers are in this. They're the 7th seed. They remain the 7th seed. But you cannot allow the New York Giants and Tommy DeVito, which, by the way, I don't know if you saw the pictures of Tommy DeVito's agent. Can you get a guy more Italian than that? Peyton Manning was like saying he was he looked like he was Al Capone because he looked like he was dressed like a mob boss from the 40s. And I was like, well, no, he looks like he's more from The Sopranos. And he had this weird, he had the blue bag. It's like he went shopping before. It was just the most Italian thing you could ever find for an agent. It made no sense. But the Packers, you can't blame that on their wide receiving core. They have a young wide receiving core, and they played. They played well. Reed had a touchdown. Ricks made some nice catches. Malik Heath made some nice catches. You can't blame them. What you can blame is a Joe Barry defense that doesn't get the Giants off the field, that doesn't stop Saquon Barkley at all, and doesn't stop Tommy DeVito at all. That's a problem. A problem that does need to be fixed for the Packers because if you want a playoff run, there's a couple teams that are in this that you gotta play some good defense, or else it's not gonna work, and you'll have a quick exit. Now, there was a report that came out yesterday, or I should say last night. I wanna read it. But it basically goes off with the headline the Patriots, Robert Kraft has already decided that he is planning to move on from Bill Belichick after 2023, per this report. This was written by John Breach. He wrote an actual report today, about an hour ago. According to NBC's Tom Curran, who covers the Patriots and he covers the NBC Boston, he says Kraft has already decided to move on from Belichick, and he apparently made the decision after watching his Patriots lose to the Colts 10-6 in the game that they played in Frankfurt, Germany on November 12th, excuse me. When they came out of Germany, conversations I had that week made it very clear that the decision was made and they were going to play out the string, and at the end of the year there would be a parting of ways for a variety of reasons, Curran explained. On Wednesday about the report, Belichick sidestepped the question. I'm getting ready for Kansas City, referring to Sunday's matchup against the Chiefs. Now, obviously he's going to sidestep that question. I don't think if he gets fired, it's not as simple, I think, with that job. I was thinking in my head last night, or even into this morning, who's gonna want that job? Who's gonna wanna go there? Because and I said, "Well, Gerard Mayo might be the coach in waiting," and that's true. I don't think you can win with this roster right now. You have to get money somewhere. You have to be good somewhere, and they're not. They're terrible. They're terrible on offense, they have no speed, their offensive line is a disaster. The wide receivers don't get open. Mac Jones, everyone blames Mac Jones. It's not just him, even though a lot of it is him. He's not seeing the field clearly. The offense has no rhythm to it. There's no motion. There is problems to this thing. It's not just it's scheming, it's motion, it's the lack of speed, the lack of creativity. There's just nothing there. You got a couple pieces on the offense, and you said, "Okay, that could work, that could work, that could work." The tight ends, the running backs, and that is it. There's not much. And on defense, look, they put up a great effort against Pittsburgh, and they beat Pittsburgh. But at some point, you gotta be able to move the ball more. They scored 21 points against Pittsburgh. They should have scored more than 21. And they scored all those 21 points in the first half. They didn't do anything in the second half. That's a problem. So everyone's like, "We'll get a quarterback." They need speed. I don't care who they get. They need some speed. They need some ability to move around. They gotta have some creativity so this wide receiver room actually has some ability to get open. They don't have that, and that's a problem. So it goes beyond Belichick, is what I'm trying to say. If I was Crafts, give him a year, give him one more year, give him GM help. Because he's got one more year left on his deal. Give him GM help and say, "Bill, we're gonna give you some GM help. You're not gonna answer to him. He isn't gonna answer to you. You're both gonna answer to me. And we'll just kinda go. And if it doesn't work out in a year, Bill, your contract's done. You can go wherever you want." Everything I've w heard has said, and this came from Albert Breer a number of weeks ago, he said he just doesn't see it going where Belichick gets fired. He says if he gets fired, the Patriots look at it and say, "Okay, what can we get for Bill Belichick?" But if they fire him, which is what Belichick might prefer in this scenario, it would be the team doesn't have to give up a pick that I could use. or if they trade me, they trade away that pick. I understand that. I'm like, yeah, where would he wants to go and coach the team he wants to coach. I don't know where that is. All right, into our game recap. The games we selected are the Bills and the Bears and the Browns. Excuse me. We have the Bears and the Browns. We have the Broncos and Lions. We have We have the Cowboys and Bills, and we have the Eagles and Seahawks. Let's first start with the Broncos and Lions. The Lions are favored by 5. I'm taking the Lions to win 28-24. This game, I think, is going to be interesting. The Lions have not been good the last couple weeks. The Broncos have been. At least they're keeping the games close anyway. I want to see what this Lions defense can do against an offense like the Broncos. It's not perfect for the Broncos, but it's getting it done. I have the Lions winning 28-24, but I still like a lot of these teams this week. There's a lot more questions than answers. That's how I'll say it. Next up, Bears vs. Browns. Browns are favored by 3. I have the Browns winning 30-14. This is the game I think. I don't think Justin Fields plays bad. I think there's a question of how does this offense look? Or how does this defense look? They lost Yannick Ngakoue for the year. So I want to see how this defense looks. Ultimately, like I understand this will be on Justin Fields' record. I get that. But at the same time, like, yeah, this defense has to be better than what it is. Montez Sweat has been good. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's the Browns are just going to be too much this year for the Bears. So I have the Browns winning 30-14. Next up, the Cowboys versus the Bills. This has fluctuated from 1.5 to 2 to 2.5. I have it written down as 1.5. Everyone said, "Oh, the Cowboys are getting disrespected by this." No, they're not. Normally, you get 3 or 3.5. That's normally what you get at home. The Cowboys are on the road. The Cowboys have not been good. Have not been good on the road. They've lost all the 3 games have all been lost on the road. At Arizona, at San Francisco, at Philadelphia. They lost those games. Those are 3 losses on the road. They're on the road. However, the Bills have not played well. So actually, if you really think about it, Dallas is favored in this game, even though it's given to the Bills. Because if it was a neutral site, this game is in Dallas. This game would be favoring Dallas. But because it's not, they favor the Bills. So I have it down as 1.5. I have the Cowboys winning. Close game because the Bills only play close games. I have the Cowboys winning 30-27 on a walk-off Brandon Aubrey field goal. The weather is going to be a problem in this game. I want to see how the Cowboys deal with the blizzarding cold. The Cowboys have 2 really tough games of that. They go from blizzarding cold to hot, like, sweltering weather in Miami on Christmas Eve. That's very tough. Can the Cowboys deal with that? That's my question. And in this case, I think they do. They beat the Bills 30-27. And finally, we have the Eagles and Seahawks. This is a Monday night game. This was flexed into Monday night. This was supposed to be a Sunday game, a Sunday at 1 o'clock, I believe. It was flexed into Monday because the Patriots were playing the Chiefs and no one wants to see that. So I have the Eagles winning 24-17. I want Seattle to win. I think this would cap off the season for Seattle as if they could win this game against Philadelphia. Seattle has looked better the last couple weeks. We'll see if Geno Smith goes. He had a groin injury last week. did not play in the game against San Francisco. We'll see what the NFL does with DK Metcalf again getting ejected this past week. I wanna see what happens, but I have the Eagles winning. I'm crossing my fingers that the Seahawks win and the Eagles lose 3 games in the final 7-game stretch, but I have the Eagles winning. Close game, 24-17, in a game where I think, again, there's more questions than answers for the Eagles. You beat a team that all these other teams could beat. San Francisco beat easily. Dallas had a little bit of a run for their money, but they go and beat them. And yet, here you are, really struggling against this team. Even though you do beat them, there's more questions than answers as you got stomped by 2 teams from San Francisco and a team from Dallas. That can't happen. So I have the Eagles winning 24-17, but I'm hoping the Seahawks win. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert.